Good morning. It's Monday, August 12th, and I'm here to report that Vladimir Putin is not a happy man today. He attacked Ukraine 2.5 years ago in order to build his Russian empire larger than it was. And he has failed miserably up to this point. And he is now pissed off again because while he and his troops have been invading certain parts of Ukraine, they have left another section of Ukraine undefended, virtually undefended. And the Ukrainian forces went into that region that was undefended, 12 miles into Russian soil, displacing 15,000 Russian civilians. All around the town of Sudsa, they were running with everything that they could get their hands on. So in 2.5 years of warfare, this is an unprecedented Ukrainian incursion into Russia. And Putin has said, this is a major provocation. What are they doing? And the region's acting governor had to declare a state of emergency, describing the situation as very difficult. Now, Russia, on the other hand, has people in the Ukraine doing damage in the Ukraine, but they left this whole section of Russia exposed. And counterattack was a brilliant move by the Ukrainian military, because it's proving to the world that Ukraine is not giving up easily. So even though they were losing ground in their region of Donetsk, they chose to invade Russia and show the Russian people and the world that they are prepared to embarrass the Kremlin, and they are prepared to force the Russian Defense Ministry to redeploy their resources, because the Russians cannot afford to have the Ukrainians invading their territory while they are invading the Ukrainian territory. Now, this was an operational surprise. It was against all odds that Ukraine could do this. But this just proves that Russia is sloppy. Ukraine exploited the Russia's lack of readiness, they said, in its border areas. This is the same tactic that was used in September 22, when the Ukraine recovered much of a region of Kharkov within a week that the Russians had a hold of for a while. So Russia can't be smiling today, and they have to now step back and redeploy, because they cannot afford to have Ukraine getting into their territory. And this is a very embarrassing situation for Putin, because the Russian regiment that was supposed to be defending that part of the border abandons its positions. Several dozen soldiers were taken captive. So they look at this, and Ukraine has proved that the Russians are chicken, because the minute they swept in there, the Russian soldiers took off. And President Vladimir Zelensky said, we in our nation have special gratitude to our warriors and our units who are replenishing the exchange fund by taking captives and thus helping free our people from Russian captivity. So Putin's got to be steaming in his office that his country is being embarrassed. Now, this area of the country that the Ukraine took, this wasn't just an empty patch of Russian countryside. In these places that the Ukraine got control of was a natural gas transit hub near the border through which Russia supplies Europe with large volumes of natural gas. That is nothing that said that the Ukrainians stopped that. Think of it, they have control of one of Russia's primary sources of revenue. Something that makes countries willing to partner with Russia. So right now, Ukraine has control over that region where the natural gas is held and produced and transmitted. So what will Russia do about that? Who knows? So now we must take a step back and look at this operation, because this is not a war-ending operation. This is a blip in the back, but it shows that Russians are not perfect. They haven't figured everything out. They have gaping holes in their offense. So this is an attempt to put Russia on the spot and bring them to the table to get them to leave the Ukraine. And I don't know if that's possible. I think Putin is a stubborn man. I don't know if this embarrassing situation is going to change his mind. But he certainly has to regroup and reorganize and possibly pull back from some of the regions that he has now occupied. And this was a very skillful and very accurately chosen strategy. And it took advantage of the Russian bureaucratic rigidity and sluggishness, because their management was pretty poor in this situation. So Russia must go back to the drawing board and figure some other things out. And I will leave you with that now. Have a great day. Bye.